Rest of them will fall under this category I'm going to show you today. Now, there's two reasons why it happens, and what's actual. You need to start thinking that what is there for me basically. So, first of all, we need to understand inflation. So, let me share my screen here so that you guys can see. Now, that's the benefit of sitting in front, because in front you will be able to read the numbers. Okay, Zoom, can you guys see me?
Yeah.
Perfect. Anyone who started working in, I don't see anyone that old who started working in 1960s. I've met lots of them, but then I've seen their financial condition. But then there's no one, I believe, in this room, right, who started working in 1960s. So if your goal was owning a house of 100,000, so let me ask anyone who looked into Temple area, Rundle area, what was the average price when these houses were being built? We got a real estate agent here. Back then, it was 1970s, right, when they built these communities. Under 100,000. What is the current selling price on average? Yeah, so I'm going to show inflation. According to inflation, if you see anything that was costing 100,000 in 1960 is equivalent to 1.4 million today. And that is only 3.7% return. 3.7. So if your money was earning 3.7%, the value of 100,000 from 1960 is at 1 million today. Make sense? Let's move a little further. 1975. Now there'll be people who they were adults, right? And you probably met them. Even if you look at since 1975, which is probably your parents, because there are lots of young people here. If they bought a house in 1975 for 100,000, these are the ones I'm talking about, are around 550. So that said is only 3.5% return. So if my money was growing by 3.5%, it's equivalent to 550 today. Making sense? Now you need to start thinking of retirement. So what I did is I did some numbers. Who pays you pension? What governing body gives you pension when you retire?
Right.
Yeah, not you, because you know everything. Which governing body is giving pension? What is it called? CPP is one benefit.
All-day security.
Old age
Who
security.
gives? Who controls CPP?
You and employer.
Yeah,
Employer and your.
Governor?
yeah, that is contribution. You are putting money, but who gives you money back? Who is controlling it? Who got the record of it? Government.
It's a board, right?
It's a board, but the information travels through CRA. Making sense?
Yeah.
Now, according to Constitution, everyone will qualify for CPP if they have worked. But then you need to understand how much money is the maximum I can get from CPP. And what is the other benefit everyone qualifies?
All-day security.
OAS, old age security. These are two benefits everyone will get. For this, you have to contribute 40 years. For this, you have to be 10 years in Canada if you're immigrant, or age 65. You cannot get OAS before that. So if I go on CRA's website,
It's a or and 10 years and 65 already.
And board.
10 years, but here's the thing, if I am not 10 years in Canada, then I don't qualify until it's 10 years.
It's and.
And yeah, exactly. So if I look at this calculator here, you can start with general information. General information means anyone who was born who started working in 1959 qualifies to retire now, right? For if you look at the age factor, 65 years later, right? So born in 1959, I should say. Now there's a target income. So let's say I want to have 4,000 income. How many people plan to have a 4,000 income if they are retiring this year? How many people then plan that I should have around 4,000-5,000 of income? No. And how many of them are receiving? So let's look at the numbers. What I did is, let's say my target value was 4,000 back then. I wanted to retire with 4,000, but there's couple different things. Someone planned, the other ones did not plan. What they're gonna get, you start putting these numbers, they are very simple calculators. Then this is the threshold on CPP. Threshold means cutoff period. Right now, if you're making 66,000, you do not contribute any more premiums. That is called cutoff. How many in this room, if they have a job, their income is 66 and more? I want to see hands. How many of us have a job? Most of them. How many of them on payroll, their income is 66 or more? Okay, 3, 4 people only. So if your income is not at that level 66,000, you will not, and you do not contribute for 40 years, you will not qualify for full CPP pension because it's prorated according to what you contribute. Make sense? Any doubts up to here? Now, next thing you need to understand in this calculator is, if you have work pension, that will make difference too. How many people have work pension? Only City of Calgary employees, right? Or government employees or big companies, oil and gas. Some companies do, some don't. Even you work for a big company, do you have work pension? Do they have pension plan? What type is it? Defined contribution, defined benefit?
Defined benefit and DC for
Okay, defined contribution and defined benefit. Wow, that is generous because they have to put money in, right? Good. So then the next thing is your own personal savings, which is RSP, TFSA, non-register, all of those things. So what I did is, let's say I have 250,000 in RSP savings. And if you look at your parents, how many of them retired and they had 250,000 saved in RSP? Not very many people, right? If I look at TFSA, it started late, but for young people, it's a good thing. And I am assuming that, let's say, how much did I put in? 100,000 in TFSA, which will continue to grow. So what I did here is, in order to show this graph, I started with no income from my own pension. And if my own pension, if you look at how much maximum CPP pays, if you contribute maximum into it, they will pay 16,000. What is 16,000 divided by 12? 1,300. And how much maximum I can get from OAS? 8,700 yearly divided by 12, close to 700. It's 6 something,
Like,
right?
if you have live a very long time in Canada, it's not for everyone. Those who are staying for less time, they will not get maximum.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. CPP, they will get maximum if they work 40 years and maximum threshold income. OAS, everyone gets. So OAS have two different brackets and they give you a little bit raise at age 75. So until 65 to 75 is different threshold, and then they increase a little bit to 9,600 as of today. Now, if I want to have 4,000, what is 4,000 income times 12? 48,000. But after working 40 years in Canada, what is the total income? 16 plus 8 is how much? 24,000. 24 divided by 12 equals What type of dream life can you live? What is the car insurance today? How much do you pay for car insurance? Yeah. My father, he's 80, he's still paying close to 2000, which is less than 200. But then still that comes out. Then property tax. What is the average property tax? So if you add cell phone bill, food and everything, that's
Yeah, utilities,
utilities, right? That's average $400 right now, more than that. So if you add them up, 24,000 is nothing. How about you work throughout your life dreaming that one day I'm gonna live like a king or a queen? Guess what happened? They give you survival income. Now, how many of us love to complain? How many of us are gonna start bashing governments and go on streets and blame liberals and PCs and NDP for not doing good for us? Or should we start taking action and control our own future? Because what I did is see this line, I put some money in TFSA, and TFSA does not impact your other income. Because I put only 250,000 in RSP, it does not affect either because I'm still, my maximum income is around 60,000. So there's a maximum income cutoff of threshold. Now, if I don't have this income, if I don't have 24,000 income, so let's say CPP instead of 1,300 is paying me only 300. So some people work in cleanup, right? Their annual income was 25,000. Guess what? How much they're gonna get when they retire? Or someone worked only 10 years in Canada or 20 years only. How much they're gonna get from CPP? Maybe $200 a month, maybe 500, 600. So what I mean is with OAS, if CPP is giving you 600, you are only at 1200. Now government says you need welfare because you are very poor. And this is where they give you GIS. Is it making sense? So that is one type of life. When we say that graph, that 90% people will struggle financially once they retire, because that's the average income, 2000, 2200, that's their average income. But now let's say some people, they think they can only create their own income. By how? Majority people are brainwashed about buying houses, which is good thing, Yash. Real estate is always good, it's going to grow in value. Yes, real estate will pay you rental income later years. You build your own retirement plan. But guess what happens? We heard a word called estate planning. What is estate planning? How many people who don't have license right now in this room? I want to see hands. Okay. So few, right? So the way estate planning works is I have one primary house. According to inflation, if I buy a house for 100,000 in 1980s, what is the average selling price? Let's say it's 600,000-700,000 today. But all of a sudden I die. What happens to this house? Either it goes to my spouse or it goes to my family. But there's no taxes on it. One house goes tax-free into next generation. But how about if I have cottage or I have rental properties? They all are subject to tax. How does that work is, let's say I buy a house for 100,000, but when I die, it's 700,000. What is the gain in the value?
600.
That 600,000 is taxable. So let's say I have 5 houses and same thing. Some grew 500,000 in value, other grew 800,000, and I have 5 of them. How much in income now? 3 million. So in the death year, if my income is 3 million, it becomes taxable. And how much tax on it? It's called capital gains. What is the recent change? How capital gains are being taxed starting June?
66.67.
That is $2 million. Is net
2 million will be taxed. So when you have an income of 2 million, how much tax?
50%.
Maximum.
48 in Alberta, 53.4 in Ontario, same in BC. It means out of 2 million, how much CRA is gonna take?
Calculated to
More than 1 million.
1.1.
Is it only 1 million or there's another cost? That process is called probate. Probate is you go to court and everyone is notified. First of all, who got first right on these, this is your estate. Who does have first right on it? CRA. You owe them first. The second right is if you owe anything to a creditor. Creditor is I died, but I owe 20,000 on credit card. I have a mortgage. Now they're gonna come after that property because if they let that property go for transfer, guess what? They cannot sue anyone. So their right is second right. Whose right is third right? Your family. But who you were working for? For your family. And they don't have any right until everything is cleared up. Now, guess what? The way it works is that CRA will issue a clearance letter to court only if you pay them upfront. So let's say the taxes are $1 million. How many people do you think will have preparation of having 1 million?
cash.
They have to give upfront. They have to pay, send them a check, and then receive a clearance letter. How many of us are planning that way? Okay, guess what's going to happen? CRA is going to auction it. So let's say the market fell 40%. Your house value is 1 million, but right now it's situation of BC or Ontario. When government auctions, what happens? The auctions according to what they need to collect. They don't care how much it should sell for. They care how much this person owes me. If they can sell for 50% less, but they can sell fast, they'll do it. Guess what? What's happening now? It's at risk. That is called estate planning. That do you have preparation to clear those estate taxes? Now, how many of us from different communities, including people who were born here, understand this?
Not too much.
But you guys think we sell insurance. There's much more into it. So what I want is you guys should sit one-on-one with your person who invited you and have better understanding of what we do. If you need more clarity, I can always help. And I was thinking that we should do awareness boot camps on these things where we should distribute this knowledge. Is it making sense? So very, very important to have your own strategy for retirement, because I want to retire with at least 100,000 income. Now, two different ways. Either I start saving lots of money. How do I have 100,000 income? If you have $1 million and you are taking 5% of 1 million as income, how much is 5% of 1 million? 50,000. If I have $2 million, what is 5% of 2 million? 100,000. By the time I retire, do you think 100,000 is lots of money? I'll be still living in poverty probably. Making sense? I won't be able to fly to Paris. I won't be able to spend my winters in Mexico with 100,000 income by the time I retire. So guess what? What is my other option? Build a business that pays me when I retire. Right? So how do I do that? This is where again you need to sit and ask this question: how do I build a business in financial sector? Because the investment, what was the investment to get started? Less than $500, and someone is training you. What does it cost you?
Nothing.
How many of us still want to retire with pension from my workplace? guess what? If I'm making, let's say, 66,000, they're paying me about 24. But if I have 66 or 70,000 income and I have work pension, and if I do not contribute 40 years into that, Sanjeev ji, how much income you will have if you retire there?
From pension, like $2,000.
2,000 plus, let's say 2,200 from government. What is total? 4,200. 42 is there lots of money?
Right.
That's survival again, right? So this is why, especially when I see young people, it is your chance to take a action and work on it. Make sense? And now Sanjeev almost give his entire life to this career, thinking that one day I'm gonna be super happy. But that's only if he makes it. That's the second thing, because they burn you out, right? By the time you are 65, your energy level is close to wheelchair. But because you need to have a lifestyle to be physically fit, right? And how many of drivers you see in transit who are physically fit, living a dream life when they retire? Not many.
Taxi driver and driver have back problems and all that.
Same as truck drivers, right?
They have diabetes.
Yeah. Is that the life you came to Canada? Or if you born in Canada, was that kind of life you want to live? So this is why it's very important to start thinking and ask this question, that what do I want in my life and how can I get there? Once you have that question in mind, this person who invited you can help you with some answers.